We are back at it with more CS news. Good morning, everybody. What are you sipping on? There is construction going on outside, so if you guys hear that, I do apologize. I will not apologize for talking about some big old news this past weekend. As we do get closer to the Austin Major, we got Melbourne coming up. In that event, we will be talking about a lot as these guys go event to event to eventually the Major, and we'll see which teams out there can make an actual run. Today, we talk all about Falcons because one of their operations managers has now spoken up and said Falcons is not the highest payroll team on the market, which has led to a lot of people being like, one, why are you saying this? It's only going to be food for criticism. And two, okay, if that's true, who the heck is paying their players more than Falcons is paying some of the top names in the game? So we hope you all enjoy. If I miss anything, make sure to leave a beautiful comment down below. But let's get into it. As in an interview with Play.gg, I'll link that full thing down below for all of you guys. Of course, there's been a lot of rumors ever since we had the rumored NiKo salary being 80 grand a month, which is pretty absurd. And people kind of found that to be true naturally because it was tied to Falcons. According to Rusik, this is going to be Xavier, the operations manager over at Falcons, all of those numbers are simply not true. I will not discuss any specific figures, but all the numbers that are out there are absolutely untrue because this is Falcons. It's easy for people to say they are overpaying their players and everybody is coming there to get the bag and to retire, but that's not the case. Rusik, who had previously worked for a big player agency in esports, even says that the Falcons is not the organization with the biggest payroll. I've worked with a lot of teams before. I know that we are not the team with the highest payroll. The story that we are overpaying and these amounts that have been stated are simply untrue. So instantly people are like, okay, whoa, if it's not Falcons, then who could it possibly be? I think for me personally, after a lot of evaluation out there, a lot of thoughts and threads, I mean, it has to be Vitality, right? Or Team Liquid. And beyond that, you even go to thinking about detail by detail of all of the players. It's hard to imagine that even then they're paying more. So like Vitality would be my guess. And of course, it's going to be some team out there probably backed by big money or having a big sponsor for their CS team. So it certainly has to be probably a top 5 team in the world and a big organization behind them. It's just hard to imagine that between m0nesy and NiKo and Magisk and Zonic, and not to mention the others, of course, but I'm talking about the caliber of players, that somebody is paying more. But you think about a team out there with staple like ZywOo, right, to retain a guy, and of course a heavy hitter like Apex who's been around and tenured for so long. Maybe Vitality, but it's so hard to think about it, but we also don't know those prices. I will say, though, there are a few teams, if any teams out there paying more for buyouts. That is one thing. Like Falcons could say, hey, we're not the highest paid salary team. We're not the highest salary team, but they are paying more. And even their operations manager further in this interview goes on to say, we can't afford buyouts. You know, we can afford big buyouts if we want a certain player, and they've bought out a lot of players. And of course, the buyout for m0nesy alone, that speaks to the money they have. So for me, I'm like, why are you doing this? It's going to drum up a lot of drama and maybe try and people have point fingers and think about who can actually spend more than Falcons. At the end of the day, though, well, even when you say you're not the highest salary team, you're probably the second highest salary team. And like you even said, you're paying the most money for buyouts of any team out there. So for me, it just feels like almost like a non-story that's fun to talk about. I don't think it gains Falcons anything talking about it, but it is fun to speculate who could possibly be spending more on their salaries. What do you guys think? And speaking of those goddamn salaries already being put to good use, we got Melbourne. Yes, IEM event coming up over in Aussie Town, which is a long distance travel for any people on the west side of the world. And a lot of these players, well, some of them are flying very nice, as we got, I believe these were some Instagram stories. Either way, some stories from both NiKo and m0nesy traveling together in the first class, and it looks nice as ever. Apparently NiKo's partners is with them as well, and that led to some great comments. I won't read all of them, but people saying the oil money was being put to good use. People calling her the third wheel, people calling m0nesy their child. You know, the comments went on, but clearly these guys really enjoying themselves. For me personally, I really enjoy seeing someone like Nato Safix. If you guys don't know, coaching now, a great, insightful source. I love how he kind of dwells in the Reddits and he replies to a lot of these threads. And he was like, yeah, These players are probably not paying for it, but it might be built into their contracts of a certain number of these kind of upgraded flights throughout the year. And for a long distance flight like Australia, it might be a good time to use that upgrade that is in their contract. And again, we don't know for sure, but it was kind of a nice, insightful detail from a former player himself about what you can actually work in and what some of these top teams are offering some of their players. Like, yeah, when you make it to a top 10 team in the world in a big organization, you're going to be maybe flying nicer than other people and have options to upgrade, which was an awesome piece, a little tidbit to know. So I don't think they'll be flying that kind of flight to every single event because they have so many events. That'd be an expensive time. But also that thread went into all of the bonus points these guys can earn by flying a lot, which is, you know, a great perk to actually having to travel over half of the year, I suppose. Very lastly, guys, we bounced back, of course, to the Austin Major qualifiers, those MRQs that went down. We did see some reactions. We talked about Astralis heartbreak. Last video, we talked about Astralis. Are they bankrupt? What is going down with an organization that cannot make the major 5 times in a row? And well, we saw the flip side of this, a 1v3, from Bait. We now have their team comms of when they qualified for the Austin Major against Astralis. Headphone Warning.
4 в 3 пацаны. 4-2, надо что-то сделать.
Звук.
Темпл красный.
Дал хейт, темпл, осторожно. Братан, я на себя играю. Играй.
Еще 2.
Байк и панчик. Парня не знают. Время?
Красава!
And that headphone warning does continue as we also saw Tyloo's reaction. And it's just, I love every year, guys, twice a year, I love seeing these team reactions because you get to truly see how life-changing making a CS major is. And we get Tyloo G at the major. I'm pretty freaking happy. There's not a lot of esports moments that are better than major reactions, in my opinion. I am heavily biased here on the CS News channel. Till next time, though, I hope you guys all enjoy. What was your favorite part about today? What do you think about Falcons and their salary? Who is possibly paying more than the Falcons and their salaries? And, of course, we slowly approach that Austin Major, but we have some events before we get there because CS takes no time off. So, till next time, take care of yourselves. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you back here soon. Take care.